Welcome, everybody, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. My name is Brent Daniels, and it is my pleasure to bring from the Midwest to the West Coast two amazing wholesalers that are really making some waves out in their communities when it comes to wholesaling property. But before I do, I need to remind you this. This is what I need to remind you. Remember, you are who you hang around with, okay? You are a combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So protect that, guard that. But not only that, when you are alone, remember, what garbage in, garbage out. All the negativity that you put in through social media, through watching TV, through all these other mediums, all the negativity, all the drama, all this stuff that it's going to come out of you. Garbage in, garbage out. So protect yourself. So here we go, guys. I am coming with 2 guys here on this podcast. One from Indianapolis, one that's in LA. Both these guys are working a partnership together. They're going to explain everything that's going on, but they're doing phenomenal things. I want to welcome Omari and Tyrone to the podcast. Say hello.
Hey, how's it going, Brett?
What's going on, guys?
So let everybody know who's who here.
Okay, right. So I'm Omari. So I'm going to just go ahead and speak first. I'm here in Indianapolis. That's my partner, Tyrone. He's out in Los Angeles. And, yeah, we're partners. We actually own Legacy Home Buyers in Indianapolis.
Awesome.
And I'm Tyrone. I'm from Indianapolis originally. Moved here about 3 years ago. And I've been doing all of my business over in the Indianapolis area.
Awesome. And for everybody listening to this, if you want to see the video of this, it's at Brent Daniels Real Estate on YouTube. Definitely check it out so that you can remember, 70% of communication comes from visual, right? From mannerisms. So definitely come check us out on the YouTube channel. But let's talk about this, guys. So you guys are both from Indianapolis. How do you guys even find wholesaling real estate? I mean, how do you discover this?
Tyrone, I think you can go first. Your story is.
Okay, yeah. I actually, as we spoke about before, I was playing basketball at Purdue University, and then I ended up getting a professional contract over in Greece, in a league over there. So I would always be in my apartment over there, and I had nothing to do. I literally would go to practice. I would take a break in the middle of the day, and then I would go back to practice, and then I would go to sleep, and I didn't know anyone there. So my biggest thing was, in my spare time, I was like, I need to find something that I could possibly invest my money into, as I was making it overseas. So I came by a guy who was actually, he was speaking about it, a guy by the name, I believe, Jay Morrison, and he actually was just talking about it very briefly, and that's what got me to kind of dive into it. And then, I learned a little bit about it. I really didn't take action into it, but kind of studied it. And I ran into the Wholesaling Inc. podcast a couple years later. And from there, I kind of just, I put out some mail myself. I just wrote it up. My wife's brother, he actually, he worked at a mail place here, and he helped me send them out for a cheap rate. And I ended up getting a deal off of that, and I also ended up getting a deal off of my mom. She was just driving, saw a property, sent me the address. I looked it up. I called the person, believe it or not, and I got a deal off of that. And that was my first deal, actually. And I believe you had the guest on here, Brett Snodgrass.
Yep.
And he kind of helped me throughout the deal, and kind of walked me through it and showed me the ropes.
Awesome.
So that's how I ran into it myself, and ran into this guy actually while I was marketing one of my properties, because he was into flipping at the time. So I'll let him go ahead and take it from
here. Go ahead, Amar.
Right. So, Brent, it's crazy. It's crazy. Number one, I love your energy. You know what's wrong? You know what gets me, Brent, on his videos? He'd be like, "Listen to me. Listen." I love it.
70%. 70%. Listen to me. 70% of communication.
Exactly.
I love it. So how I got into real estate actually was on the flipping side first, Brent, believe it or not. So I got into flipping. I just wanted to really understand it. At the time, I actually worked in sales at a company called Defenders. So it's a security company for ADT. You ever heard of ADT? It's like a premier provider for ADT.
Yep.
So we would do a lot of calls, inside calls, and I was a hero, what they called it. Pretty much like, you know, when you go to a car dealership and they can't close the deal and they say, oh, well, let me go get my manager. I was the manager.
Yeah,
guy, right?
got it. Okay.
So I was doing that, doing really well. And then out of nowhere, I get fired for even something that I didn't even do. Even to this day, still believes. But I just had faith, and I'm like, well, this must mean that something's going to go right in my direction. So I looked at real estate. I kind of knew about it, but I had a couple people that were around me that was doing it. So I just took the time to actually learn everything that I could. I was Brent, I was running to Home Depot, tearing down walls, early mornings, late nights. I'm coughing at night because I'm asking and stuff was getting into my, throat. It was interesting, So I still do have 2 flips going on right now, but it's kind of me and another partnership, and he kind of has a whole system. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't do it. So I actually ended up getting into flipping. So I started to learn a lot of the investors just in the industry altogether. And I already knew of Tyrone. And just because my brother played basketball as well. So his story is similar to Tyrone's. And he came back, got into real estate. That influenced me to get into real estate. And then I accidentally wholesaled the deal, Brent, believe it or not.
Nice.
Accidentally. So
how do you accidentally do this? Walk us through this.
Yeah, let me explain. So Brett Grass, once again, he shout out to him, man. He's really helped us. We actually closed a deal with him today as well. But anyway, so Brett had a property, and it came to my email. I checked it out. And at the time, my older brother, he wanted to buy another property. So I seen it marketed at $67,000, and he saw it marketed at $69,000. Kid you not, this was on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. He called me and said, hey, man, I found this property. I'm going to move forward on it. It cost $69,000. I said, what's the address? He told me the address. And I said, hold on. I see this property here for $67. If I can get it for $67, will you give me the difference? Had no clue about wholesaling.
Yeah.
Mind you. He was like, yeah, I'll do that. I called him up, and I said, I see this at 67. Can I get it? Of course, they said, yes. I probably could have got him lower.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you can have it at 67. I said, okay, perfect. So I ended up making $2,000 like that. And I was like, wow, that was easy. All I did was make one phone call. How can I actually really do this? Then,
so wait. So your first wholesale deal was selling a deal to your brother on Thanksgiving. Yes.
Very random, very whatever you want to call it. It was crazy. So
that's awesome.
After that, man, you know, Brent, I got to give it to you, man, because a lot of people don't believe this. When you have no knowledge about wholesaling, you actually can get off to a better start. That's
better. It's always better.
Brent, I knew nothing about like really ARV or a buyer's list. Nothing. I knew nothing about that. Nope. This is what I did. I went out and I said, okay, well, I'm pretty good on Facebook. Let me try to, reach out to my network. Reached out to Tyrone. I said, man, do you happen to have like any deals? This is where I started to turn. So I'm still working on my flip.
Yep.
It's getting done, but it's a slow process. Slow. It takes like 3 times as long as it was supposed to, of course. And I'm like, man, I kind of want to figure out what like wholesaling is. Like, what is this really? So I reached out to Tyrone. I said, man, do you have a deal that like you can let me see if I can find somebody to buy it on? He was like, yeah, I got this one. Sent it to me. No lie, I sent it out to, I put it out online, and I had a buyer, and we closed like, 3 days later or 4 days later?
4 days later. Mind you, this is the for sale by owner that I just put an offer in on just online, just randomly just put the offer in on and got it accepted. So I was kind of in the process of like, how am I going to get this closed in 14 days?
Yeah.
And that's when he said that. So then next thing you know, we closed it up in 4 days. The agent is like super happy because they were trying to, help them get the property sold. And they just was like, man, you guys are great. You guys move very fast.
They love you, right?
Yep,
well, and it's amazing what happens when you're actually being proactive, right? When you're going after a for sale by owner, you get it locked up. He's not reaching out to you off of advertising. He's not reaching out to you after marketing. You get this deal, and then being proactive as you are, Amari, you reach out to Tyrone and say, hey, do you got any deals that maybe, I could help you sell or get rid of, whatever it is, and boom, now you're going, right? Nothing happens.
Exactly.
None of that happens. There's no income produced. There's no value in the market produced if you guys aren't taking action. That's it.
100%.
It's all about action.
It's just talking to people.
All
And, I just got to interrupt you, man, and just got to say that, like, it really is just talking to people. I know maybe just from my perspective, before I even got into Wholesaling Inc., before I even kind of knew who you guys were, when I started to just understand real estate and this whole wholesale thing, I would look at things and I'm like, oh, okay, well, they've already done it. They're making it so simple. It can't just be that simple. It can't just be that simple. It's
right.
mindset. Like TTP is the perfect. I don't know how you came up with that. If it was you, if it was your who came up with that, but it's kind of like Nike, that just do it saying, right? It just fits. It fits. It's just a mind. Like, talk to people, wholesaling. It goes together, and it's more of a mindset than anything else. It's more of a mindset, a reminder to just continuously.
And one thing about that too, I think one thing that people think, when they hear us talk about the TTP and the talk to people thing, is that we're only talking to people. We're only talking to sellers. No, we're reaching out to everyone.
Everybody.
We're calling buyers. We've built our buyers list up to what, 800 and something now at this point. We was able to implement some things from the program. Obviously, the trading your list up. We was reaching out. We were calling people. Omari ended up calling a guy that ended up agreeing to it. And that's kind of like, that actually doubled our list. And then, now we're proactively calling buyers. Like, we're looking up the buyers on certain properties, and we're actually reaching out to these buyers. So that's something that's been huge for us. So it's just talking to people all across the board, not just sellers, not just reaching out to sellers.
It's talking to your closing attorneys or title companies. It's talking to private money lenders. It's talking to people that want to invest in you. It's talking to buyers. It's talking to sellers. It's talking to other wholesalers for other ideas. It's talking to people that do land flips and people that do subject. You know what I mean? It's all about being proactive and talking to people. It's not just people think that, well, TTP just means cold calling. No. It's literally communicating with people about what you're passionate about, which is being a real estate entrepreneur. That's it.
That's all it is. It's like real estate or wholesaling specifically is just talking to people. Literally, it's literally that. Like, if you do that, the deals are gonna come.
Yep.
I promise you, 110%. If you like, hey, I just need to talk to, just like what you say, but I know, just being a new person, I know what it feels like listening to that. Like, Brent, oh, you have a successful mega business. You're out in Phoenix, Arizona. You're doing this. You're on the 19th floor. Look at your background. Like, you're not just talking to people. Yes, he is. Like,
that's what he's doing.
That's
what he's doing.
It's it.
That's it. That's the whole culture there. It's incredible. Well, let's look at your guys' progression. So when did you guys do? When was this that you first, Tyrone? When did you first do your first deal? What year?
So I did my first deal, I believe, in 2016.
Okay.
It was actually, I think, December of 2016. And then I didn't do another one for a long time after that. And then I kind of got with Omari about a year after that when we did that deal. But yeah, that was my first deal over in Indianapolis. It was December of 2016, I believe. And I believe I made about I split that with Brett and those guys, and I made about $6,500 off of that for my first deal, and I was just super hyped.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to do. Didn't know what to do next, but I know I wanted to do more of that. And then next thing you know, January of this year, after we'd done a couple deals together, January of this year, we was like, man, let's just go ahead and put it together. Let's go ahead and link up. We ended up finding out we from the same part of town in Indianapolis, literally lived super close to each other, probably as kids and stuff like that. But we never ran across each other, and that's crazy in a small city like Indianapolis. But we literally know the same people. It's like, oh, you know him? Yeah, I know him. Yeah, that's my buddy.
Yeah.
We just connected to the same people. It just made a lot of sense, and it happened at the perfect time. So that's why we ended up joining up here, literally in December of this year, January of this year,
right?
To go and form the Legacy Home Buyers, and it was like, it's time to go ahead and get into TTP and get this thing rolling.
Well, and Omar, when did you start?
So I started in October of 2017 is when I actually got my first flip.
Okay.
So that's when first initially got into real estate, no Thanksgiving. So maybe a week after that is when we closed, I think.
Yep.
So the beginning of December is my accident deal. And then right after that, in January, I did another deal with my brother. And then right after that, in March. So a year from now is when me and him actually did our first deal. So I would say roughly around a year I've been wholesaling.
Talk to me, each of you guys. Tell me, how does your first year go? How's your first year feel? How's your first year, like, the first year into it? Talk to me about that. Talk to me about what's going through your head as you're starting to put together these deals, as you're crawling to walking to now running. Tell me about that process. Tell me that journey.
I know for me, I'll take it off first because I'm not even gonna kid around. I listen to Wholesaling Inc. every day.
Yep.
When I first started to actually get serious about it, and man, Tom Kroll and Cody and all of those guys, man, I learned so much from those dudes. I was just like, let me try to just implement. They would always say implement. Just go ahead and implement it. Just take off running. Fail forward. And that was something that was huge for me. So I would literally fail forward. There were some properties that I was like, there's no way I can sell this property. And then I ended up getting it under contract, throwing it out. And I might not make a huge fee off of it, but I made something. And I just, like I was telling Omari, it's kind of like we was looking at these deals like, wow, am I actually doing this? Like, am I turning this into a business? And I would talk to, some of my friends and things of that sort, and they didn't get nothing that I was doing. They was like, oh, okay, they listening, but they like, what is this dude really doing? Like, he's not really buying homes. He's not really flipping homes. So what exactly is he doing? Even my wife, she sits there and listens to me, but I know she doesn't know what I'm doing half the time. She's just sitting there listening to me, but she knows bringing in some money now. So that doesn't matter, right?
I'm certain if you asked my wife what I did, she'd be like, I don't know. Real estate?
Exactly. But like you said, one big thing for me is when I look back, man, it's like I wish I would have joined something like this, a lot sooner.
Sure.
And I had it in front of me because I would be listening to you guys every day. But like Omari said, it was like I'm looking like, man, these dudes they doing more than what they're saying they're doing. Like they have to have some type of weird hookup or something
secret,
like that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
formula
they got something that I
they're
don't
keeping
got.
from all the masses. Yeah.
Exactly.
They couldn't possibly be giving it all away.
Exactly. And man, they was giving it all away.
Yep.
And just being helpful, the go-giver mindset, they was definitely being super helpful to us. So just getting to where I am now, I've grown a ton, man, and learned a ton just from doing. I didn't take a lot of time. I can tell you now, I read 0 wholesaling books, zero on wholesaling. I've read some books, to help me out now that I'm getting more serious with it. But it was kind of like I just really, Tom and them would say, go out and this is how you build your list. I'll go out and try to build my list like that, or I'll try to go get these lists and the tax list or certain things. So yeah, that's just kind of how my first, year or so went.
Awesome.
Progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection.
Definitely.
That's it. So, I forget what your initial question was.
Just your first year. What was your? How was your first? How did your first year go? How did you evolve? Because we're going to talk about where you guys are at now and your processes and your guys' what you guys do. Your relationship between you two. But like your first year, just imagine you're speaking to somebody like you guys were before you guys really got going. When you just heard wholesaling, started to get going. Like, what was your mindset after you got your first 2,000 and then you got your other deal and then you start putting, all of a sudden the train starts rolling, right?
Brent, I don't want anybody to see this, to take this the wrong way or anything at all, because I want them to know that it's coming from a genuine standpoint. When you first make a deal and it's 2,000, 5,000, whatever, versus the amount of time that you put into that, you like, what? Wait. I just did 10 hours, 5 hours, 20 hours, whatever it is. It's still not equivalent to going to work 40 hours a week for a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, trust me.
Bring it. I'm just saying, even $2,000, some people may bring that home. Some people may not even still bring that home after 40 hours per week in a month. So it was just like it's a complete mindset shift. It was more like, wow, all the work that I'm doing for somebody else, I can actually do for myself. And the work that I'm doing for somebody else, maybe even more. Like if I took, man, Brent, still, and I'm still not at this level, but if I took the 40 hours a week that I worked and did for somebody else and I put that into this business, it's just a complete mind shift. It's a shift, your value, your worth. Like you feel it maybe deep down inside that you will work more, that you want to go after your dreams. But after you have just one moment, it's like, wow, like the money's not everything. It just shifts your position about it. Now I'll be like, $7. Like, how could somebody work for $7? How is that even like legal? $7.
Yeah. Well, and before you get that, and even you make a beautiful point, because even if it was a $2,000 check, it was real. Like you went from believing that maybe this could happen to it being an absolute fact. Like, wait, I can put this check into my bank account and do this as many times as possible? Yeah. Yeah, you can. That's the beautiful part, right? So I get it. Yeah. So
last thing I want to add to that, Brent. I'm sorry. Last thing I add to that it was funny. I had a conversation with somebody, right? So this is after I did my accidental deal. I did one more deal after that. Me and Tyrone did a deal, and then we started to do deals. It was still a hustler type of mentality, but it was just working. I knew nothing about wholesaling, but I was just going after it. And I remember I had just got done with my flip, and I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were like, "Man, you can go and do this, or you can go and do that. You're not doing anything. You don't go to work." I said, "It's so funny how like even me, I felt like, is this like okay? This feels like I'm cheating or something." Like I got somewhat of a complacent mentality after doing that so quickly like that, making $20,000, $25,000 fairly quickly, and not being able to make that in that period of time like that. And it's like, wow, I'm really not doing anything, but I am doing something. I actually am doing something, but they're equating that I have to work 40 hours a week to actually be working. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It totally makes sense. Well, and we talk about this, and we talk about it in TTP. We talk about it in the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Your income's equal to the amount of value you provide to the marketplace. The hardest thing, like you're saying, is wait a second. Like I knew if I did job X, if I went out and I was that closer for ADT, and I went in there and I got it done, man, I would get paid, and that's what I know I could do. Or you can have 45 minutes worth of conversation with somebody that's a distressed property owner. You can solve their problem. You can then talk to somebody that is looking for the opportunity to provide for their family by flipping properties or legacy wealth or whatever, and you can put them together and you get big checks. Yes,
exactly.
That's the value. Who else is doing it? That's the value.
It's literally crazy. It's big a mindset shift,
So let's talk about some big deals. Let's talk about some big checks. Let's talk about like really putting something together. Why don't do you guys each have one that you could talk about?
I thought we were going to go over one deal for sure.
Okay.
That we had. This was one in Indianapolis.
Let's do it.
In which we started the TTP program. What about? I think
like 14 minutes ago. I swear. Holy cow.
Yeah, like I think mid-January.
Yeah.
And we actually had a VA that was doing some calling for us, and she was actually from the Philippines. God bless her heart, but she just wasn't getting the exact amount of leads that we were getting. Like when we were actually over the phone and actually doing it ourselves. Which shout out to you. You always say that.
Yep.
But we didn't go that route at first. So we had her making the calls, and Omari was making them as well. But she actually out of that time she brought in one lead. She said this lady, she lives out in California. She just kind of wants to, figure out if she wants to sell the property. She says she's very interested. She's looking to open up a business of some sort. So you give her a call. At this time, I was just now getting off of work. I was heading home. It was like about like 7:00 our time. I gave her a call and she didn't pick up. So I ended up leaving a voicemail, and then Saturday morning, I actually gave her a phone call about 10 a.m. and she picked up. We kind of hit it off. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm actually from Indianapolis. I live here in California too. You know, she kind of built some rapport with her over the phone. So she just kind of got to telling me, you know, the ins and out of the property. Me myself, I had done a deal in this same exact neighborhood on the same exact street. Actually, I think the property was across the street, Amari. It was. I think the deal that I did, yeah, it was across the street. So I knew exactly kind of what I could pay in this area, what we can pay in this area. So, you know, when I got off the phone, I hit Omari up and was like, man, I think this one's going to be a good one. I think we're going to have a good buyer base on it as well, because I remember, you know, before that it was a lot of buyers that was really wanting that deal. So we go back and forth on price. And then, you know, me and Omari spoke, and we ended up, what did we ended up? We ended up getting it under contract for
76,
what was it?
I think
76,000.
Or no. It was 73 at first, right?
It was 73 at first.
Yeah.
We got it under contract at 73. And then she came back and I guess, you know, she owed something to the property management company. You know, we didn't want to hit her over the head either, you know, so what we did was we just kind of was like, you know, maybe we can go ahead and help you out with that. We'll bring it up. She owed them $3,000. She was like, you know, if you guys could just pay that off,
sure,
we can still move forward.
Yeah.
If not, she just wants to wait the few months out and then she'll sell it after she pays that off. So it just made a lot of sense for us to go ahead and move forward with that. So then from there, so now we're at 76,000. We actually took one of your taxes. I think, Amari, didn't you get it from Brent? I think it was, where we kind of just put the price out there a little lower. And this was something that I wasn't like, you know, completely down with, but honestly, man, we got some way.
He was
we
like,
got some way of like believing each other at the right times, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I don't know. He was like, I'm telling you, man, let's just put it out there, 81,000, and let's see what we can do. I was like, bro, we can definitely sell it for more than 80. He was like, let's just see what we can do. And you know, we've watched the podcast, you know, listened to it a ton. And one tactic that I've taken that we've been doing on each deal as well now is just having all our buyers show up at the same time.
Right.
It's just like a feeding frenzy, honestly. It's just like, you know, so we hit our whole list. You know, we called as many people to have them over there that week. And then by the time they, you know, got out to the property, they walked through it. Omari met them at the property. They went through it. And then we had offers coming in, like, I mean, literally right after it. And, you know, our first offer came in over the asking price. I was like, see,
Here
I was
it
like, he
comes.
was right. He was
Here
right.
it
He was
comes.
right. And so, yeah, from there, man, we just, we kept, it just got bidded up. I mean, it got bidded up. And it ended up getting bidded up to what, 86,000, I believe.
So tell him the story though.
You go ahead. You take it from here on that part.
Okay. All right, Brent. So this is what happened. So we get the deal. 76 buyers come. We walk through it. It's probably about maybe 12 to 15. No, maybe it was at least 15 people there.
Yeah.
We're realtors and buyers. So they come through, walk through the property. I think the first offer was 79. I think.
Yep.
So we're like, nah.
Yeah, that was before they walked the property. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think we responded yet because it was so quick, Brent, honestly.
Yep.
So then we had a realtor say, hey, we'll pay 82. And Tyrone hit me with that. He was like, man, you know, cool. We got 82. We got over asking. You think we should go with that? I said, nah. He said that too quick. At least go 84. I said, hey, look, if you do 84, we want to move this deal. We wanted to move it pretty quickly. If you can do 84, we can lock it up. They sent it back, 84. I still kind of, inside of me, I'm like, too quick. But we already gave them our word. We want to be honorable to that. Whatever, we'll learn. Brent, 10 minutes later, we had an offer come in at 86,000.
That's it.
10 minutes later.
10 minutes later.
10 minutes later.
It went smooth. It closed. Everything. Boom. Good buyer.
Yep, closed in a week. The terms were 5-day close, no inspection period, you know, nothing of that sort. So that was a good thing too. I like those type of closes, 5-day, all cash, and no inspection period. So that actually was a good offer.
Amari, explain why you said to price it low and to bring everybody at the same time. What happened?
Well, what happens is exactly what you guys say. When you price it low, people, realtors, investors, if they see something and they know it's a good deal, looking at it, they're gonna want to have more information. So with them being able to come onto the property, they look at something and say, "Oh, that's a nice deal. That's pretty priced. That's priced pretty right. I know that area, XYZ." They come out to the property and they see a lot of other people there. There's no time for them to put on their investor hat and say, "Hey, well, I'm offering you 79, but my max is really 86." They don't have time to do that because they see everybody there at the same time. They're going to give you for what it really is. Majority of the time, they're going to not try to play hardball with you.
Highest and best.
Yeah, they see it's a lot of interest there.
So what this is born from is essentially an auction. So with any auction, whether especially with real estate, they're going to set an opening bid. And if it's a low opening bid, you're going to get a lot of people to bid. What happens when a mob of people get in front and want the same thing? They start competing. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, right? That's the mentality of it, and it's powerful. It really is. So on that deal, what'd you guys net?
8,000. Well, what did we?
8,000.
So you got it at 76. 76 sold it for 86.
Well, we sold it for 84 because we had already sent the contract.
Oh, got it.
Yep.
A word, and 10 minutes later, we got an offer for 86. I'm like, man, we probably could have went all the way to 90, maybe, but we
better believe I let that buyer know that we had an offer for 2,000 more, and we accepted his. So
he better close it. He better close. So what did you make on it?
$8 grand, 8,000.
Hey, I've been waiting to hear that.
What is?
I know.
Talk to me moving forward. Talk to me about pipeline. Talk to me about how you guys work together. Who does what here?
It's wrong. Let me actually just deep dive this one. So Brett, it's been amazing. So I kind of talk about us vaguely before the program. So me and Tyrone relationship really just honestly happened organically. It just happened organically. Me and him were doing deals. He got married last year, and during that time, it was just a lot going on for him as well. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm doing deals. We're still doing deals, and we're still developing our relationship. So at the beginning of the year, I'm like, Tyrone, let's just try it out. Let's just go in together. Everything works well. We do most of our deals together anyway. Just he'll find something, and I'm a part of it. I find something, whatever. He's a part of it, So January came around. We decided to be more in the mindset of like, okay, let's really try to scale this. Let's really try to make it a full-out business. Yeah. So Ron already had some experience with this. He actually told me about how to pull stuff from the county lists. Honestly, Brent, he told me about Wholesaling Inc. He had told me about Wholesaling Inc. And kid you not, it was more like he had told me about Wholesaling Inc. So I started watching it. He said, yeah, this is the program we need to get into. This is what we need to do. I'm telling you, this is what we need to do. We've been talking about this for months. So January come, and I just called Tyrone. I said, you know what, Tyrone, let's just do Wholesaling Inc., man. Let's just do it. He was like, we can. Let's just do maybe another deal. Let's do it too. I said, no, let's do it. Yeah. I know that. Let's just do it and let's see what comes out of it. And it just helps our mindset understand the infrastructure to build to be able to have consistency. So pipeline now, let's say we started middle of January to now. We had that deal last week. We closed 2 deals today. Those were 10,500.
I think we ended up getting, so we closed one. That one was 8,000. We closed another one for 8,000 today. And then another one for 2,500 today. We have a pending one at 6,000 that'll close middle of next month. And then we just got one under contract in the pipeline that's possibly going to make us $10,000 as well. And
how'd you find those deals?
This is all this is TTP.
Yeah, so we had one I think was a referral and TTP.
Yeah, one was a referral. Referral.
Who are you guys calling for those deals? What lists?
So we called absentee owner. That was for the deal he deep dive. We called absentee owner for that one. Another deal that we closed was absentee owner as well.
Owner occupant, we're calling.
I'm trying to think where the deals came from. Two of them for sure was absentee owner. The other one was a referral that we had. Speaking of these three that in his last week, basically.
So since mid-January, going through the TTP program, starting for you guys to get on the phones, having somebody else kind of do it, but not being effective. You guys, what is that? 60-something days. It's 4 deals. Is that right?
Yeah, man. We're just
warming
we're
up.
a little.
Well, we had 2 deals.
We're a little over.
I'm sorry. We had 2 deals actually before this week is in our. We had 2 deals prior to this that were about 5,000. So we did that pretty much when we first got into TTP.
Yep.
And we closed both of those, and then we actually had pipeline kind of starting to build. Like you said, it takes about 30, 60, 90 days, and now it's Brent, I had a guy call me today out of nowhere and say, "Hey, man, I think I have somebody that I can actually refer you." I don't even remember talking to him. So it's just when you just put one foot in front of the other, just it'll come, and we got. I had 2 appointments yesterday. One we got under contract. That's more of a different type of deal. Where I'm sure you're familiar with like subject twos and stuff like that.
Yep.
Still more on that, and we're getting a lot more. Just familiar with that whole process. So 2 of my appointments yesterday were those. I had 2 today. One, me and Tyrone actually got to talk about to run the numbers and see if we can lock it up. But she gave me a hug at the end of the appointment. Bro.
Lock it up. There's nothing to talk about. Amari, there's nothing to talk about. Don't lock it up.
Yeah, we're going to lock it up. Like, a hug, and it's all love. So, yeah, we have a pipeline going. Like you said, we got one that closed next month, in the middle of next month. We got one that we just got under the contract today. It should at least be between 10 and 15. It's probably going to be between 20 and 30 people over there.
The deals are only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And that's one thing we've seen. Our assignments are getting a lot bigger than what I was getting last year. 100%, man.
Yep.
100%.
Well, 1, you're building a bigger buyer database, and 2, I guarantee you that you're being stronger and anchoring lower on those prices with the homeowners. Those 2 things combined literally took me from in Phoenix from like $5,000 a deal to $12,000 to now $21,000 a deal. You know what I mean? Like just those 2 things. The cash buyer database, anchoring low in price. And you guys are going. Going. It's already, the momentum's going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been huge. I think we're just over about 30,000 since we've been in the program. So awesome. It's been huge for us. It's been huge for us.
I love it. It's just getting started. And you guys told me, I think Amari said, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be on that podcast in like next month."
We kept talking about it. 60 days.
It's so funny though, because Brent, remember I was talking to you. This is a fun fact. So I DJ. So I was talking to you.
Yeah.
Remember, so Skyler ended up calling me, and I was talking to him about it. I said, trust me, man, we're gonna get into the program. I'm busy today. I can do it tomorrow on Monday, whatever it was. I ended up talking to you, and you was like, "Amari, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? You might as well get into the program." I'm telling you, it's gonna be a complete 180 change for you. Yeah. It's gonna open everything up. I can tell you got what it takes. Yeah. Just go ahead and invest in yourself, and you're gonna see it blossom, man. It's been beautiful. Awesome. I told Tyrone, I said, "Man, we just doing it." And I just made a decision, and we're grateful. We are
very grateful.
Well, I'm grateful to work with you guys. You guys are a huge example. I think this is just one of the best podcasts that I've ever done. I really, really want to thank you. Give you guys, is there a way, if people want to reach out to you, is there a way to find you maybe on Instagram or Facebook or email? What do you guys prefer?
Go ahead, Tyrone.
I'm on Facebook, just my regular name, Tyrone Johnson. People can reach out to me, email anyway. My email is TP Indy INDY invest @gmail.com. They can reach out to me directly. I'm happy to answer any questions, help anyone out. I'm looking to give for sure, man. Any tips or anything that anyone needs. Doesn't matter what market you're in, I'll try to help you out for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Omari?
And for me, it's my first name and last name on Facebook, Omari, Omari, and Heflin, Hef, as in Frank, Lin. And Instagram @OSpeaks, like O, and then like you're speaking, speaks.
Speaks, yep.
Yeah. So those are the probably two best ways I would say, social media wise. You can send me emails, but it'd honestly be better on social media.
And guys, if you're in their market, if you're in Indianapolis, reach out to these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially if you have a deal that you're having trouble like selling, or you have you're wondering if if it even is a deal. Remember, when we start out in this business, the hardest thing is deal or no deal, right? Is this a deal or is this not a deal? And then the second hardest is how big of a deal is it, right? So you guys leaned on and got really good help from Brett Snodgrass, which he's been doing a ton of business there. Now you guys are in that position to be able to help guys. If you're in Indy listening to this, Indianapolis, listen to this, reach out to them through those means, really connect and build your network. So guys, phenomenal. Great job. We did 40 minutes here. Phenomenal. We could probably go for another 2 hours, but it's whatever. 40 minutes is good. Anyway, you guys are the best. I really, really, really appreciate you guys. I hope that your Boilermakers win today.
Yeah,
this might
man.
date this podcast.
Man, it's actually right now. It's going down to the wire right now as we're talking. So let's see
That's
what
on
happens.
this podcast. That's how dedicated he is. All right, guys. Wholesaling, guys. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, if you're looking to join and meet and be in a network with these guys, incredible people around the country, go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Don't mess around like Amari did and wait a bunch of time. Just jump right in, get connected. I'd love to work with you personally. Until next time, guys, I love you. See you later. All right.